All right. So we're gonna talk about the patch notes. Usually I do this closer toward the middle of the day, but today I'm just gonna do it right now. So 6.16 patch notes. I already kind of glanced it over. I didn't see what happened, but I noticed it was really small. I think this is the patch up until Worlds. I would really like some jungler nerfs on top tier junglers in this patch. On top of that, I would like a Sivir nerf because I think watching those two champions are really, or Sivir especially, like late game. I think maybe just like a attack speed nerf or her ricochet crit decreasing nerf would be nice. And on junglers, stuff like Rek'Sai, I feel like is just still too strong. And to some extent, Nidalee, Gragas, like all the top tier junglers are just way too good. But it's really hard to balance around them, so I just like to see a little bit of cut onto their relative strength. Anyways, let's move on. So this is the one right before Worlds. Okay, cool. So Kled, whatever, saw the champion spotlight. It looks really cool. It really is. So what are they gonna do with this? Passing now adds tenacity based on how outnumbered Aurelia's team is rather than how many enemies are nearby. Oh, if it's evenly matched, so she doesn't get any tenacity if it's an even amount. That's a pretty big nerf, actually. So in team fights, she literally can just die instantly because she has no CC. The relative value of Merc Treads goes up on Aurelia for sure. A lot of people just go Tabby because they don't really need to go Mercs on this champ because their passive like cuts into it. But this is a lot of like for the most part, she'll still be like a relatively strong slip pusher, but in team fights, she's definitely open to getting one hit a lot more. And this is a bug fix for Transcendent stuff. Okay, Leona. I thought the buffs didn't do anything for Leona. So the biggest thing about Leona is that she still has to commit to win the lane, and that's really really risky in a lot of situations. Usually, what happens is the Leona lane is super feast or famine, and you just go into Leona and you die, or she dies. One of the two things happens, and because of that, all the pressure goes down there. I don't even think it lanes relatively well against the top tier picks like Karma and Poke champions just shut down Leona unless Leona can like one hit them in the rotation. And so generally, I think this champion that even though she got buffed, nothing really changed. And this is displays the damage when her allies proxy. This doesn't do anything. Lulu. So I've seen a little bit of support Lulu recently. She didn't see any mid lane play like I was worried about, which is really good. So now she's in a support position. Her poly is still really good, and her ulti is still super good. She's the premier support pick against assassin champions because she could save them in multiple different ways and CC the diver. So she's getting her W buffed. Huh. Increasing attack speed early. I think that's a crazy buff because, well, no, that's not a crazy buff. It's just a really nice buff. At level 1, you get 25% attack speed. That's really good. I'm actually surprised. It may be a better 1-point wonder now, but before you used to max W second immediately after Q. And I think that she's getting a lot of buffs that are really scary. If assassins ever do come back into the meta full force, you'll definitely see Lulu come back as well, in my opinion, because yeah, she's just the perfect pick to deal with it. Mordekaiser, the champ, is pretty feast or famine. It's funny that Jungle Mordekaiser is like the only position where he's played competitively even once. Just in general, I think this champion probably needs another rework because what they tried to do with the AD carry bot lane didn't work, and his solo lane still sucks. So I don't like the champion itself. I think it's really relatively bad, and probably they need to rework him again. Nautilus. So this champion fell out of favor. It used to be a top tier top lane pick, but what ended up happening was he took a lot of base damage nerfs, especially to his E damage, which makes sense because you don't want to be stacking 7 or like 5 armor items on Nautilus and still have him doing huge amounts of DPS to your team. So I think that, oh boy, let me go ban the champ real quick. I think that, what did they buff with this? They are stuns all targets. I think that's actually a really cool buff to the champion. It means that you won't be you want to be ulting people at the farthest range and trying to set up a situation where you hit all the people on the way there. I think that's super cool. You know, you just get free CC with your additional CC, and he is a huge CC tank. So the biggest problem was that he couldn't lane that well after the Eve nerf, so he might not see much play coming back. But I think that this definitely opens him up for. No, I don't even know if it opens him up to see more play. It's just a nice thing to have on the champion. I think he still might be pickable in some matchups top lane and maybe some matchups support, but for the most part, you're probably not gonna see too much of him. But Nihilist mains should rejoice. This is pretty cool. Sona, so self movement speed lowered. I think Sona is okay. Like I think she's strong, but she's just strong as a top tier pick. Like relative to Karma, I think Karma probably needs more nerfs than Sona because she's like the premier support pick and gets first picked on in every single game. So I think that Karma, especially with the shield, the new shielding item buffs, has insane utility, and I'm surprised to see Sona nerfed before Karma, honestly. So she gets less self movement speed and less ally movement speed ratio, and less basic CDR early, so she's now more of a late game champion. I think that's fine. I don't think necessarily this cuts too much of her relative strength. I think it's just okay. Well, what am I picking? I've been in the mood of picking a lot of Cassidy recently. Sorry, since these patch notes are relatively short, I thought that I could get through them pretty quick, and I think I can. There's still one more, right? So Victor right now, I think he's really strong. Still one of the best mid lane picks in the game. The one thing about Victor that is just problematic is his damage. I think when they change his ulti, the damage on his ulti is actually absurd. I like the idea where it does more damage over time. I just think that it's crazy that he does so much damage. So I could see them looking to nerf damage for the champion itself in some specific way. And so they just nerfed the movement speed of his ulti. I think that's okay. It just means that the value of the third upgrade is even higher on Victor. A lot of Victors are maxing upgrade first, all triple upgrade to get the movement speed, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Now, you can probably outrun Victor ulti pretty soon, and until he gets Rylai's, it's not going to be too threatening without Rylai's and perfect hex core. Okay, and then what's now? The rest of the stuff, oh, it doesn't matter. That's my 6.15 patch notes review. Cool. There's actually not even the patch.